guys. Thank you so much for coming to my How to Get Away with Murder live chat. Go ahead and say hello if you're in the room. I see that B is here. Thank you so much for being here. If you say hello, I will give you a shout out. I personally thought that this episode was really good. It kind of reminded me of like old school How to Get Away with Murder, where we were dealing with specific cases. I think in the past it was like we were dealing with those every week, and we don't have those as much now. And I thought this specific case was super interesting, and they were also, if you follow like the people behind the show on Twitter, they were trying to get the word out about something that really happens I can't think of the right terms to call it. It's like genocide, and I have it in my Twitter like saved. Anyway, there's issues with people like the woman that was presented in this case, who are sent back to their countries, kind of somewhat similar to what happened with Simon. People who are LGBT, they're sent back to their countries and they face a lot of abuse, etc. Oh, I don't know why I'm echoing. Am I echoing for everyone? It seems like it. We may have to restart this because I use a external feed to do. I don't go through YouTube to do this. I've never had an issue with this. Okay. I may have to just close it and start again. Let me look at the settings here. I'm not seeing any notifications of issues on the system that I use. But this system may be just having issues today, which is really weird because I've never had a problem with it. I do not know how to fix it on this system, which is called, what is it called? OBS. So I may just have to restart if it's not getting any better. And if it's still not better, we may just have to postpone this because I have absolutely no clue. It may just be something with this system today that's not working. I don't know. So are you still having an issue? Is it terrible? Is it to the point that you can't watch this? Let me know. And if it is, then what I'll do is close out this chat, and then it'll take me a couple minutes and restart it. Let me see if I can shut this down. I'm going to try to shut this down. It's probably going to shut the whole thing down, and I will come back to it. Yeah, Oliver's hacking me. I'll try one more time, and if it's not working, I really don't know what to do. It also could be an issue with YouTube, because even though I use a different system to talk to you guys, I still have to stream from YouTube, and YouTube used to have tons of issues in the past. That's why I quit using them for the video capacity. Sounds like a chipmunk. Not annoying. Okay. Well, let me know what you guys think. Like, totally be honest with me. If you want me to shut down, I can restart it one more time. And if that doesn't work, I literally have no clue how this can be fixed, or if it can be fixed. It may just be like one of those days. I don't know. So if you're totally annoyed and you're not going to watch it, you're not going to offend me, let me know, because I have no idea how it sounds. I can't hear myself until we're done. But as far as me trying to fix it while we're in this stream, there's like no way I can. I have no idea. I've never had a problem since I've switched to this system, so I literally have no idea. But if anybody has OBS or has used that before and they have had this issue or know of this issue and you think you know how to fix it, I would appreciate any feedback like that. But definitely don't think it's my computer or anything. It's probably either the OBS system or the YouTube live streaming system could have a glitch or something. But I'll just keep talking. But no one's saying that they're so annoyed that they're leaving. I'm sorry. I hate that. I wish I could hear it for myself. I have no idea why it's doing this. Anyway, be honest with me. If you're leaving the room, let me know. And we can try to start it one more time. But anyway, back to the episode. I really liked it. I thought it was a great story. But then we also got so much more information about what is going on with the scene at the wedding, what is going on with this child that Nate is trying to track down, who's, I think, in their 20s now. And I got many comments from people last week saying they just don't believe that Bonnie is Gabriel's mom, and that that's just way too obvious. And at the end of last season, I figured that it was Bonnie, but it's becoming so obvious to the point that they were trying to figure out the DNA, like Nate was at the place trying to get the information about the baby, and then the next scene, there was like a scene with like Bonnie, and then there was a scene of Gabriel like back to back, almost like blatantly saying that it was, you know, they were just trying too hard to make that connection for us that Bonnie is Gabriel's mom. So I'm thinking that it's probably not the case. Now, that being said, this baby who was in their 20s, that was the DNA, whoever Bonnie's child is, okay, is that someone who's relevant to us or someone that we know? Because I feel like, even though some people suggested in the comments last week that one of the Keating 5 or however many we have left now could be Bonnie's child, I feel like they should be older or too old to fit into when the baby was born. So, yes, I'm aware there's a weird audio issue that I cannot fix, so I'm really sorry. I feel like I'm going to have to say this like a million times. I have no idea what's wrong with it. Moonblade says you're very happy Laurel isn't dead, so we know that she wasn't killed at the wedding, so I like Laurel too, but Laurel is very shady. She is pretty much blackmailing Tegan so that she could have Christopher get into the company's daycare. So what I'm going to do is restart this, and then I'll try one more time, and if it's not any better, if you want to stick around, you can, and if not, I totally understand. But I'm going to shut this down and try one more time, so just come back here in a few minutes, okay? All right. Okay, great. So basically, I just stopped the stream and restarted it. So I really apologize for everyone, and for those of you who came late and didn't get my explanation that I didn't know what was going on. Okay, let's go back to what we were talking about. I see Nathan's wondering if Tegan will die. That is the only person right now that I'm curious of. But if not Tegan, then I would say maybe Ronnie or Ronald or whatever, the like kind of boyfriend of Bonnie. I don't know if he's like a shady person, but I always think about like disposable characters. I mean, they have killed off big people like Wes, but I'm getting the feeling that this season we're not going to kill a big character. So Tegan would be disposable, Ronald or whatever would be disposable. So Louise says, if Nate was working with Frank, they'd have all the info since Frank knew about the kid probably before season 4 finale, but Nate learned in the same episode. So a lot of people have been wondering, who does Frank keep calling? And it only would seem like it would be Nate, but I don't know. I feel like maybe that isn't right. Also, I found it very bizarre that Gabriel had a flip phone. When I first saw it, I was like, okay, that's super shady because nobody has a flip phone unless they're like 60. You know what I mean? So it's like, I knew that was something shady for him to not be traced or tracked, or it's maybe like a burner phone or something like that. So even Frank realized that he wasn't going to be able to clone it or anything, but he has a new way, a very shady way to track him by sleeping with his roommate, getting his roommate to move out by paying her off, and now he has cameras set up and everything, and I don't know, it looked like maybe he was looking at his computer, somehow hacked the computer. I don't know. Terrible things. Okay. So Louise is asking if Laurel's mom is off the show for good. I still believe that Laurel killed her mother. There was more talk about Laurel's mom. Laurel said that she's in the witness protection program. I don't believe any of that. I believe Laurel killed her at the end of last season. But I think that will be revealed this season. So Ralph says Asher, Ronnie, Gabriel, and Nate are yet to be seen at the wedding. And that's kind of how the show works when they show you the mystery of the season and then they show you who survives episode by episode. So they let us know this week that Laurel is a survivor. So very good. We're missing Asher, Ronnie, Gabriel, and Nate. So I remember so many times when there's been like a mysterious person who dies. Nate has been guessed a billion times. So many different seasons people have guessed Nate is dying. So I think we could move on without him, even though he is a recurring character. But we'll have to see. The only reason I would think it's not Nate is that Bonnie seemed to want to make sure this person was dead in one of the flashbacks or flash forwards that we saw. And I don't think she has animosity for Nate now, but maybe something happens to make her have that. I could see her, out of this group of people, I could see her being very angry with either Gabriel or Ronnie. And I also thought it was interesting that Gabriel asked about Bonnie, but I still don't think that means that's his mom. But Gabriel, of course, has been sent by somebody, or he's there doing some kind of dirty work. He is not just randomly there and has no purpose. So Ralph thinks the dying body in the snow is probably Ronnie. So we really know nothing about Ronnie, and it's quite, possible that he is a very shady person. Again, I think it was mentioned in this week's episode that he admired the former DA, who we know is just like a big snake and a bad person. So they could have been in cahoots, and who knows what his deal is, and he could be just playing Bonnie the whole time, which I just now realize it's Bonnie and Ronnie, which is very funny. Which would also be super sad because of the conversation she had with Annalise at the end. Like, she really wants to meet a good man. She really wants to be in a good relationship. And if this guy ends up being a terrible person, I just can't imagine, like, what that's doing to her. Okay, so Gemini says you saw a theory that Nate or his father is the father of the child. So, okay, there's another, that's a really good point, because why is Nate overly invested in finding out who this kid, who's the father, or what happened to this kid? I think it'd be more likely that it's his dad than him, because remember, Bonnie was raped, so we're assuming that this is the product of the rape. So I really hope it wasn't Nate who did that. I don't think he's that bad of a person. DJ says you don't watch the show, but you wanted to catch a live stream. Well, thank you so much for being here. Yes, and I'll see you Thursday for the American Horror Story stream. Sophie says you think Frank keeps calling Bonnie. It looked like Bonnie was in the hoodie stealing the baby from the hospital. So we saw someone stealing this mystery newborn who is Bonnie's baby. It did look like Bonnie, but then I'm confused, but maybe she did kidnap her own baby, and maybe she knew somebody in her family or somebody who would give it a good home or something. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that? So Ralph says Ronnie is secretly investigating Bonnie. This was shown in the finale last scene, in the last season. Oh, I don't remember that. Okay, so that's like making him super, super shady. Niece is asking, did Bonnie kill whoever was in the snow? I don't think we can assume that she killed them, but we saw in last week's episode that she went up to them. She was holding Christopher. She sat Christopher. Well, I don't know. We know she has blood all over her. So I don't know if that's too big of a jump to assume she shot the person, but it seemed like she closed their eyes because we were kind of seeing like their point of view. Louise says if it's Ronnie, you'd be a bit disappointed, similar to Simon in season 4, mid-season finale. They're not main characters, not important at all. So they've already pretty much, unless they decide to kill off Annalise, they killed off one of the very, very main stars, and I think it made a lot of people very angry, and I still don't really understand the thinking behind killing off Wes. So I don't know if they're afraid to move ahead and kill off someone who was a main character. I personally have no problem with them killing off another main character if it makes sense. But I feel like we're just going to kill off someone who we don't really care about, which Simon didn't die, but no one really cared about him. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't important to the show. He didn't have a fan base. You know, I feel like we're losing people that it doesn't really matter if they're there. We don't really care if Laurel's mom's still around, you know, stuff like that. So Ralph says Bonnie was trying to shut the person up and make them die faster. That's what it looked like to me, this person in the snow. I don't really think she's the killer in that situation. So I do think it's really interesting how they're doing everything with this Bonnie's child mystery and this Gabriel mystery. And if those two aren't connected, then what are we missing here? Because we're missing some pieces. So it's like, do we need to know who this baby is as an adult? Is that important, this Bonnie's baby? I mean, I can't think. Can you think of who this person would be if it's not Gabriel? Because Gabriel probably fits the age and everything for it. So if it's not him, who is it, or does that even matter? I feel like it kind of does. And if Gabriel is not Bonnie's kid, because Nate is investigating who is Bonnie's kid. Well, DJ, thank you so much. That's so nice of you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So DJ, or not DJ, I was about to make you a character in the show. So Nate is investigating Bonnie's baby that she may or may not know is alive. But what is Gabriel's connection? So Ralph said Simon surviving the gunshot was BS. I agree with you. Very, very unbelievable. But I think they wanted to advance the story and have him being deported and all of that so we could kind of use more of that storyline as they are in this season. Moonglade says, why was the baby there? Like, was the person in the snow stealing the baby, or did Bonnie set the baby down to see the person in the snow? So this is a good question, because you remember when Laurel walked in on Bonnie, it was really weird, and Bonnie made up a story that he needed to be changed or something. So what was going on there? Something had to be going on, that she, I think, was protecting Christopher from somebody. So maybe it was someone trying to steal Christopher, which is weird. And then you'd have to think, who was trying to steal Christopher? Because really, who would want to steal Christopher unless it was someone from Laurel's family? And with that being said, is Laurel's mom still alive? Is she the one who was killed in the snow? Is she the one trying to steal Christopher? And is that our dead person at the wedding? Because that would actually make a lot of sense, because it definitely seemed like Bonnie was protecting this kid from this person, and everyone hates Laurel's mom, and I could see Bonnie wanting to make sure Laurel's mom is dead. DJ, thanks, and I get a coffee like every day, so I can definitely use that for that. Thank you so much. Louise says, when Michaela asked Bonnie about Nate at the end of the episode, the way Bonnie froze seemed to point the person in the snow was Nate, or was it just me? So did she say Nate? I just remember her saying, like, whose blood is that? Whose blood is that? I don't know. Luke says Bonnie looked like she was crying when she suffocated the person. Okay, apparently there was a Nate question. I don't think it's Nate. I just don't think, unless something major happens, that Bonnie would have any reason to be super mad at him and want him dead. But he is investigating her baby, so I don't know. But again, think about this, because what Moonglade has brought up here is that if Christopher was in danger, and if the person who was killed was a person trying to steal, kidnap Christopher, who would want to do that? Now, we don't know what Gabriel's motives are. Could it be possible that Gabriel was sent by Laurel's family to get in with them and steal Christopher? I don't know. I mean, obviously her dad wanted Christopher to himself. He's in prison now, and so unless he gets out, I don't think he's a factor. But of course he has tons and tons of connections, and who knows if Gabriel's I mean, something is definitely going on with Gabriel. So if he's not Bonnie's son, was he sent there to abduct Christopher, to cause drama for Laurel? Or maybe he knows that Laurel killed, maybe Laurel's dad knows that Laurel killed her mom, and he's there to make sure she's found out for that. I mean, I don't know. But I think we could make a connection with Laurel's family and Gabriel and who dies at the wedding. Because when you think of who else we haven't seen as a survivor, I can't think right now of a reason why Nate would be the victim, or who was the other person, Asher. I don't have good reasons for them. Now, as far as it being Ronnie, quite possibly, because we don't know what his deal is. He could be working with Laurel's family. He could be trying to steal Christopher. I mean, I don't know, because we really don't know much about him. So Ralph said Bonnie set the baby down to use both hands to cover up the dying person's mouth while holding them down. The person was dead regardless. True, but why was she with Christopher? Like, why was she carrying him around? I mean, did she just pick him up to say, like, hello, and then she realized she had to go make sure someone died? Or was she picking him up? Was she taking him away from this bad person or a bad situation, or she found out that someone was going to kidnap him and she intervened? Because remember, Laurel seemed really surprised that she was with Bonnie, or that he was with Bonnie, and she didn't understand what Bonnie was doing. She didn't make it a big deal, but she was like, oh, okay, that's where he is. And then she made up a story that she had to change him. So normally, I wouldn't connect Christopher and Laurel or any of that into the person who was dead, but they are making a big point to have Christopher as part of that scene, and I don't really understand why they would put him in that scene unless he was connected. You know what I mean? So why would you have... She just didn't pick him up because she wanted to hold him and cuddle him, and then she had to go out and deal with the dead person. Like, that doesn't make sense. Hi, Blake. Thank you so much for being here. Louise says you meant Michaela asking Bonnie before Laurel came in, not the last question. Okay, gotcha. Luke says you feel like Asher is starting to have less screen time now since he didn't get picked for Annalise's class and he's not living with the K3 and Oliver. Are we down to 3? Keating? Oh, those the ones who live with Oliver. Okay. I don't know what his deal is. He's apparently going to start working with Bonnie and the fill-in DA or whatever. So I still don't think he's murdered at the end of this half season, but I don't really understand why Annalise is trying to push him out and like not being supportive of him. I don't know. It's weird to me that he's like on the outs with everybody this season. So Moonglade says maybe we meet someone from Wes's family, like grandparents or the Mahonies, and they wanted to steal the baby. Probably not, but anything could happen. So it could definitely be someone from the past of this show, because the Mahonies, I'm not sure if we've totally resolved that situation. Yeah, maybe they are involved. I mean, who knows? Really and truly, who knows? Ralph says she was holding on, Bonnie was holding on to Christopher while Laurel was dancing. Laurel knew one of her friends had Christopher. But I get that. I just don't understand why, if she knew she had to go into a dangerous situation, like, why would she take the baby? Like, if it, you know what I mean? Like, there was tons of people at the wedding. So it would have taken 2 seconds to grab whoever, Michaela or whoever, Laurel, and be like, hey, I've got to run to the bathroom or whatever. Can you hold him for a second? Why would you subject a baby to that? Because didn't he even get blood on him? Like, even though he may not be old enough to remember, why are you putting him? Is it just for shock value for the viewers? Like, why would you put a baby in that scenario? It's so weird. Ralph says if Asher dies this season, does that mean he's going back to Orange is the New Black? So I first discovered Asher, the actor who plays Asher on Orange is the New Black. I really liked his character. I have still not caught up on that show, which is bad. I have like all of this new season plus a half of last season to finish. Anyway, I kind of lost interest in it, but I really liked him on, Andrew McGorry is his name. I really liked him on Orange is the New Black, and that is honestly the reason I started watching this show, because I saw he was in a new show, and I was like, oh, cool, I really like him on that show, so I'm going to try this show out, and that's, the rest is history, you know? So Luke says the person who is dying in the snow was losing a lot of blood, wondering if they got shot or stabbed or something else. So Louise says, you think the way the blood was dropping seemed like a throat cut. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like we heard a gunshot or anything, but I always feel like if you're going to stab someone or slit their throat or whatever, that is a way more personal crime than shooting. So that may play into it if they were stabbed or had their throat slit. Maybe the person who did it is very angry with them for a personal reason, much more than just, you know what I mean? Like, it might be coming from a deep space of anger. Ralph says, this is Bonnie we're talking about. She's a selfish person. So we're not sure totally yet if the reason, you know, if Christopher being in all of the blood scenes at this wedding means anything, or if it's just to be like mysterious and shocking for us trying to figure out what happens. But I feel like that being said, our biggest mysteries right now are who is this baby of Bonnie? Is it someone that we know or not? And I'm feeling like if it's not Gabriel, who would it be? I can't remember. Do you think we know the person is my question? Because I forgot how old they would be. Early 20s, right? And I'm not sure how old everyone else is supposed to be. I think in real life, Laurel and all those people are close to 30, but we may be pretending that they're way younger. So in that case, could one of those people match the age of Bonnie's baby? And secondly, if we're not going to say that Gabriel is possibly Bonnie's child, what's his angle? What's his deal? We know it's not good, okay? The only reason it could be possibly good is if he's mad at Bonnie, if he's her child and he came back for revenge, like, why did you abandon me? Especially if she was the one who stole him, kidnapped him, and like maybe she put him in a bad situation, or he was in foster care, or who knows? I don't know. Very strange. So Ralph says Frank is a hands-on knife type. Nate would just use a gun. Louise says you think we'd also have to think not just about the reason, but who the hell would kill someone in front of a baby? Seems very evil. It's really weird. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Louise says, Frank killing someone in front of Christopher, you don't think so? I don't think so either. I think he loves Christopher, and I just don't see him doing that. Unless there was just no other way around it, you know, unless if he didn't kill that person right then, the person was going to kill him or something. Luke says it's funny how at the end of the episode, Annalise and Bonnie started yelling at each other, fighting, and then a minute later they smile at each other and touch hands. Yeah, so definitely Annalise wants to repair this relationship with Bonnie. So I feel like we may be going down that road where they become friends again. Moonglade says you read on a website that the Keating Four are between the ages of 25 and 27. So I remember that they showed the birth date of the Bonnie's baby. Does anybody remember what that was? We can figure out Okay, hold on. So almost 20, right? That's what I was thinking. So I think for those of you who commented theories about various Keating people being the missing baby of Bonnie, I don't think it's going to work out. And if they try to do that, I think it's a mistake in the show because they're just too old. So Ralph says Gabriel's age lines up with Bonnie's kid. Nate and his new girlfriend talked about how he was almost 20. And that's what I was thinking. But again, he could be just some big, huge red herring here because they're overly guiding us in every episode more and more as time goes by that he's the one that we're talking about here, even though he does match up. So the newbie and hippie says, you think all of this was a scheme set up by Todd to come to Bonnie with this BS? Oh, okay. I'm like, who's Todd? So you're talking about Real Housewives of Atlanta, I think, which I don't watch, so I'm just like, whoa. Hi, Chase. Thank you for being here. Ralph says Bonnie's supposed to be in her early to mid-30s, and I think in real life she's like 40-something. So Luis is saying it's Gabriel for sure. Well, I don't know. I mean, he meets all the criteria, but I know, I guess basically based on your guys' comments, or maybe not people in this room, but people who've commented on my videos and stuff from the past, this is only episode 2, I guess from the past week. And actually people have been commenting on my video I did last year where I said I thought Gabriel was Bonnie's son. So many people are sure that he is not Bonnie's son because how this show always tricks us and everything, and they're for sure that they're tricking us with this, and that's going to be the big twist. One of the big twists this season is that Gabriel and Bonnie have nothing to do with each other, they're not connected at all, and that's 2 separate storylines. So I totally see that point, and I see that it's overly obvious. Now, this is a good point here. Ralph says, it like everyone has said in this chat, it does seem like it has to be Gabriel because he fits and checks all the boxes. But what if it's a person pretending to be Gabriel? That's really good. So maybe Gabriel is the name of her real son, and he's also that same age. And for all we know, he could be dead or something. I don't know. If all of that pans out, then Gabriel is our villain, and Gabriel is the one who dies, and Bonnie would have a reason to want to make sure he was dead because he stole her son's identity. And with that being said, he could have killed the real son or something terrible. Nicholas says maybe it's just you, but you don't feel like the person that was killed was someone close to the main characters. All you see is anger over the fact that a murder took place and no sadness. And I agree with you. So I think we have narrowed down who our dead person is, and I feel like it's either got to be Gabriel or Ronnie, with the wild card being Laurel's mom, even though I feel sure that she was killed last season. So Louise says it's for sure, but they'd easily get that by a DNA match. So we just don't know. But I think what's going on is that Nate is matching Bonnie's DNA from the coffee cup with a DNA sample that Denver had, right, of the real Gabriel. So, I mean, if I'm right with that, Gabriel could have been alive, or maybe he still is, real Gabriel, and they got that DNA match recently. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that he was killed or anything. He could just be in jail or in hiding. I don't know. But if Gabriel, this new guy, took over his identity, also, here's the thing. If that's what's going on, if this person has taken over her son's identity, is he coming back to do what? Be like, hey, I'm your son? And what's the reasoning? If he's coming back to pretend he is Gabriel and Bonnie's son, does he want money, or what's the angle? Am I missing something? Like, why would you take over someone's identity to come find your mom that doesn't even recognize you? You know, Bria, I think it's either Ronnie or Gabriel. So what are your thoughts about that? Like, if he is not the real Gabriel, the real Bonnie's son, what's this agenda, or was he sent by somebody else? Ralph says the red flag is that he's under 20 with the burner flip phone, right? Plus, it seems like when Gabriel gets worked up, his agenda almost slips out, like in the classroom. And we know this guy is actually a really smart guy. And the other thing I think was really blatant when he was like, so who's Bonnie? Like, he knows who Bonnie is, right? But I do really like the angle that even though he may be coming to profess that he is Bonnie's son, he may not be. Now, Niece thinks that this Gabriel that we know, the person we know as Gabriel, is Bonnie's son because Frank recognized him right away. So Frank has been clued into Gabriel since he showed up on campus. So that's another question. How did he know this guy was up to no good? I don't think it's ever been said by Frank that he thinks he's somebody's son, but he's been investigating him since the last season, so he knows something more than he knows he's a shady person. Louise says, you don't think he knows he's Bonnie's son. He has nothing to do with him, and he doesn't seem shady. Right, so we're not getting any indication that Frank thinks that Gabriel is Bonnie's son. So Ralph says, what if Gabriel was working for Ronnie to be his inside guy for investigating Bonnie and possibly Annalise? So yes, definitely Ronnie and Gabriel could be in cahoots, and we could lose, we could easily we could have Gabriel as our dead person, and we could get rid of Ronnie for his scheming and whatever. He could get arrested and he could be off the show. Because I feel like both of those people, we can move ahead next season and not have them. Again, we will just have a half season, so we'll come back in the spring with the rest of the season. So one of those people can still be around. But we've really figured out a lot here in this chat. So I don't know. I just think that these are all very interesting thoughts, and I think we've made a lot of progress trying to figure out exactly what is going on. But I think right now we have established that Gabriel is not a good person. He is a shady person, whether or not he is Bonnie's son or pretending to be Bonnie's son or not even related to Bonnie, but is doing some dirty work for somebody else. And then I think we've really narrowed down our who's the dead person, which is really the big mystery for this half season, because I just don't feel like it could be a whole bunch of different people. Louise says, if Gabriel was a spy, why would he get the identity of Bonnie's son? Right. I think that would be two different scenarios. Either he was being sent by somebody to infiltrate Annalise and to get information, or he has another agenda because he's taken over the identity of Bonnie's son for whatever reason. Maybe he needs money, or I really don't know if she has money. I have no idea. Moonglade feels like Gabriel is going to get close to the Keating Four and Oliver, so maybe he's investigating them or something. Very, very shady, but I wouldn't rule out the fact that he's somehow being sent by Laurel's family, because we know how shady they are. Isaac Roa, I believe, is off the show because it was just Jimmy Smits was doing a guest appearance, so I think he's gone. Yeah, Ralph is still thinking about American Horror Story. Yes, that was a really, really good episode. I don't think Isaac will be back. I personally did not like him on that show, but I see a lot of people did like him, but I personally think he's gone because he's like a pretty big actor, and I think he was just doing like a guest appearance. And Bria likes Ronnie. I mean, if Ronnie ends up being a nice person, I'm cool with that, because I think that would be great for Bonnie, and she doesn't need more drama in her life. So if he has no agenda and he's really a nice guy, then I'm all for that. But if he's not, then he needs to go. Well, we can kill him. It's totally fine. But I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you so much for being here. And this was a really productive chat because I feel like we're getting closer ourselves to figuring all of this out. But that being said, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you for dealing with my audio issues. I have no idea what happened, but we were able to fix them quickly, so that was awesome. I'm sorry for those of you who had to deal with that. And hopefully when this is, when I get to put this on my channel, it will make sense. The way that we took a little break in there, I think it should be okay. Ralph says Ronnie is a weasel, and the reason he had sex with Bonnie in his office was if caught with Bonnie romantically in public, it would ruin his investigation. There's also another way to look at that too. Was he possibly filming them in his office, or was he not willing to let her come to his house for whatever reason, because it might expose whatever he's doing, or if he has a different identity or something. So I don't know. I don't really know why she would do that in an office setting. Again, what if that's on camera somewhere? I don't, it's just very stupid. And basically I don't know, he seems kind of shady, and she was dying to be with someone, and then moved really quickly. So I felt like it was really weird. And I think that's a really good point, Ralph, because he kept saying, like, can't we just do this in my office? Can't we just get some paper cups and some wine and whatever? Like, why was he so insistent on that? I don't understand. Like, I feel like the only people that would be dead set on hooking up at the workplace or whatever were people who live with their parents still, or they were ashamed of their house, or they wanted to catch you on camera or something. It doesn't seem normal to me. Why didn't he have her come to his home? Something. That's weird for two adults to be in that situation. So anyway, think on that. But if you're watching this after it's been live, you can still comment, and I'll come back and comment on all of your comments, or reply to all of your comments. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I really would appreciate your support and thumbs up if you enjoyed this chat. So bye guys.